very few understand what is happening in the market. The narrative, the idea, the direction, that matters a lot. If you are looking for the price increase in an asset, and that to a parabolic rise like this in such a short time, you should see enough liquidity in the market. And that's where these kind of things become really interesting. This kind of illustrates a simple thing, which is the cost of money going through the sky. But right now, people's interests are coming back into the market to buy on assets. Why do you think that's happening? Because right now, if you look at the dollar, it's trending higher, but slowing down on that trend. That is positive for the crypto market as a whole. Because if you are looking at this, while we were here at the top, I asked the question like, are we really going to the downside, or can we really hold that level back in last September? So that's like a year before. I was asking like each time if we are reaching this level and getting rejected to the downside, what now? I mean, this time it's different. That kind of idea usually never works. And that's one of the reasons why I highlighted that point. If that means the price is dropping, good days are coming soon. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys get to learn how to become the next top 10% of this world. Right now, if you look at the market, this is the thought process, which is going to be easy for you guys to digest. When dollar gets rejected from there the first time, you actually see crypto putting in a bottom and trying to bounce back up. That gives some room, and then as the dollar goes up to retest that range, crypto slows down. At that point, you see dollar slowing down to the downside and crypto taking off. So we have actually watched this couple of times in two different cycles. So do you think it's going to be different this time, or you go with the idea of now we are most likely going for something big? Because if you actually remove this narrative from the charts, what are you really watching here? You need to actually ask the basic question. Say this is dollar. So if you actually have an asset which is priced in dollar and the value of dollar is going down, what happens to the asset itself? Common sense, the price should go up because it's priced in dollar. One. So what is dollar doing right now? It came up, great. It actually showed you a hammer pattern here, after which the continuation of that hammer is happening right here in front of us. Which means, if you remember, we actually plotted this fib and highlighted the point that by the 0.5, if you're getting rejected, instead of 0.618, which is the golden level, that means buyers are weak or the sellers are doubling down. So the point is clear. Now, what do you want to watch in this asset? Personally, I would like to actually see a drawdown, which is somewhat similar to what we have seen historically. Say something like this, meaning you actually bounce higher after the drop and then go to the downside. That is something which is going to be really interesting to watch here. The first leg of that, the bounce to make a new high, is done. Now, if it drops like this, it is going to be great for the crypto market as a whole, because what we are talking about is not a short-term scenario. What we are talking about is this asset coming back down to a long-term trend line. That's like you're looking at the price from last 10, 15 years. That kind of gives you the idea of how strong this level is going to be. Great. So when that happens, what do you think the market is going to do? Because on the other end, you have to go look at a safe haven asset. It is consolidating. Agreed. There is no doubt in that. But if you take a look at that, you understand the fact that this was the accumulation. You broke higher, you end up. This seems like the proper reaccumulation pattern where there is no doubt on it. As soon as the price breaks to above this level of 2000 again, it is going to create a lot of momentum to the upside. Now it is gold, it's not a crypto. It is not actually going to give you the ROI structure which you really want unless you have a 20-30 year time horizon. So what does that mean? You now have a lot of youngsters running into the crypto market instead of the gold market. So that's one of the reasons why looking at the crypto assets in this scenario becomes important. Because when I was watching Bangless pointing this one out, I'm like, okay, they're actually asking to like 275,000 people. What are you going to do? What are you going to buy if you're not going to buy Ether or Bitcoin? And I said, okay, I'm going to buy XRP. There's a lot of different people, there's a lot of different opinions, but you get the point. They are looking to see how many of them are interested in various different assets. One of the primary reasons for that is this. If you understand, the wealth building process is about being positioned in the right asset at the right time. Because it can be slow as it plays out, but if you are positioned well enough, you don't have to worry about that because you know these levels. If you are a short-term guy, yeah, this is the trend line we discussed yesterday. This is the range of next level of support. If you zoom out, you do have another level of support. So if you understand the fact that the price travels in the least resistance area, or if the area is having a lot of resistance, the price do not want to go through that. That's why that act as a support, which means historically, this level right now is acting as a strong bounce off level. If the price do come back down to this range, that means you're going to get more buyers and they will push the price to the upside. So the price always want to travel in the path of least resistance. So I think, okay, we do have a possibility that this may come in this way and then bounce off. That is going to be something great to watch. Now, what if bulls take over? That is something we have to watch. Now, it is not the hype kind of stuff where we are talking about a $100 to $500 XRP in like 6 months, 7 months range. It is some real sense. We're talking about the possible moves. That means if you see this pattern breaking to the upside, now that kind of gives you more bullishness. Say we go about 29,000 here in this run up without much of a downside, that will show you increasing momentum of bullishness. Now that's a daily chart for sure. You'll have to go on multiple time horizon to understand what you are watching, because then you need to keep in mind we do have this level which is important, which is really important. But what if you're going to come back down to this range and do this stuff? It's just going to consume more time. So that is where you need to look at the total market, to understand what the altcoins are doing. Because if you do see the bottom is kind of in, the divergence have already given you that idea. We went through that scenario yesterday. Now, if you take this concept, the price is saying, okay, I'm making consistent lower high. So each time you're putting in a new high, which is lower than the other one. Same goes with the bottom. Each time you're coming to the downside, you're making a higher low. That shows you the price is actually getting congested into one area. That's a symmetrical pattern. You're not either going to the upside or to the downside. It does look like a symmetrical pattern. So we want to see the price breaking that range. If that happens to break to the upside, it's bullish. If that doesn't happen and you're doing this stuff and breaking to the downside, it's negative. This becomes your support at that point. But as of now, we don't have a confirmation about what we are doing. Now, what we can do is to look at the price, look at the indicators and ask ourselves, like, what are the odds of things unveiling? Like, what are the different possibilities in the market? If you follow the RSI, it does show you a rising trend line of support. So I would assume that if the price drops, this is going to be a support that creates some volume for buying side. Buying side will be attracted to buy this asset at that moment. Now, most of the big guys, the giants who buy into the market, they buy in based on something like this, which is the macro charts. If they actually understand the idea of a divergence on a macro, bet me, they get out. Meaning what you're watching is the price going up just like we discussed about the short term, the RSI going down. They are out. The big guys are out. You don't have to think 10 times about that possibility. Now, on that same horizon, you're watching a reversal signal here, after which it is taking forever to come back down. So you don't really have enough strength in the seller side to push the price to the downside. And someone big is watching this. Why am I saying that? That's the primary reason why each time XRP drops a little bit, you're seeing big guys scoop things up. And it also makes sense for us to look at this and say like, okay, there's not something mind-boggling like 10 million XRP, a million XRP like that, but there's something achievable for each one of us. If you actually look at the top 1%, 70,000 XRP at the current price is somewhere like $30,000. So if you have been in this asset and you're slowly putting in capital each month, each week throughout these years, maybe you're already here or you are 10 times about this. A lot of us, when we are going through, I'm watching this. A lot of us are here or about that. And I'm like, guys, think about this for a moment. That's not a small thing. And I'm not saying these prices are coming here in next 3 months, but I'm putting in the perspective like even if the price hits $10, $20, if you're in the top 1%, you made it. That's actually a great ROI structure. If you are somewhere here in the 0.1%, wow, that's mind-boggling. I know a few people who are above that. But keep in mind, your targets are much lower than those who are here. Yes, that's not fair, but that's how things work. Meaning if you believe that those who are here in the XRP rich list is going to wait for $100 before they take profits out, you need to think again. Because as far as I understand, I'm talking to a lot of different individuals in the one-on-one session where I'm watching like 500,000 XRP, a million, 1.5, 2, like the average I would say is somewhere around 200,000 XRP. All of them have different set of targets, but most of them are ready to take the profits from $2, $5, wherever the price goes, they have the exit set. So if you're in this range and you're digesting this information because that fits your idea of making $100 million, that may not be the right thing to do. What you should do is to follow what we just discussed. If the market is showing you a divergence, don't believe me, don't believe others, don't believe anyone. Believe the market. If the market shows you the fact that someone big is exiting, you don't have enough retailers to push that price to the upside. That means it's done. You should consider taking profits. It's that clear. Whether it's on a monthly, whether it's on a weekly, you do understand that narrative. Now, at this point when the price is this low, talking about when you're exiting may not make much of a sense. But that's what it is. You buy low and you sell high. That's how you make profit. So in XRP, if you are looking at the price action on a weekly, this is what you're watching. We're still on this trend line. That trend line has been valid forever. So if you believe that this trend lines and the price is giving you some information from the market, now you understand the point. Okay, what we did here was making a bottom. What we did after that was confirming that most likely that's the bottom. All of this in investing is the game of odds. You try to pick that, whether it actually retest and bounce or come to this range of bounce or directly go up, no one knows. But what we do understand is that someone big is buying at these ranges. That's why historically recognized patterns are coming on this asset over and over again. And each time, remember, when the monkey is jumping, each time you're landing onto a new base, which is increasing. What else you need to understand? On a macro time frame, if you're a bullish guy on this asset, you don't need much more information. Yeah, these kind of stuff kind of give you a little bit of work on your calculator for sure. But you also have to consider this, which is the reality of how much people would be taking profit when it's at $2, $5, $8, $10, instead of just waiting for a $100. Now, different people from different countries and different purchasing power will have different holdings. I understand that. But keep in mind, this is not about me. This is not about you. The market does not care about me or you. The market care about the whales. That's the reality. It hurts. It's the truth, but that's the market. And that's how the market always behaves. So if you are here to learn, educate yourself on different assets, different possibilities, and how you can really enter in the market and at least play with the whales based on their rule books, not the retailer's rule book, the whales rule book, because that's what we are looking at here. If everyone is saying we're going to go to the upside, because back then, if you go back and type in DXY and go search and Twitter with people like, a lot of, now I won't name anyone, but people with 50, 100, 200,000 followers were saying DXY is headed to 120. And I was sharing this saying, okay, each time if this happens, I'm a student of the market. I'm not smarter than the market. I'm an idiot. I'm just looking at the market and trying to read what the market is saying. That's it. And if the market is saying something, I don't want to go against it. Yes, there can be a black swan, there can be some bullshit which goes against the market as the market direction changes. At that moment, yeah, I take a hit and I change the direction. But until that point, you don't want to go against the market. That's the reality, which means you go study the on-chain data. That's critical to taking profits or staying profitable in the market. If you have 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, it depends on what you are looking at. Yes, you can trade this market. Yes, you need to look at different points. That's one of the reasons why we go through this, a lot of different assets, giving you guys the idea of some of this are breaking higher. Some of this are doing better. Some of this are doing this, that, and all. But you need to actually understand what it's doing. Say, one of this asset is up 7.45% for the week, but still down on the week. Whereas the next one is showing you it's only up 4% for the day, but it's up 10% for the week. That's actually something you should actually think about. Okay, if you have difficulty in understanding or digesting that, on live, let's go on it. I'm not prepared about the asset. We'll just look at asset as of now. So what we are watching here is the basic sense. You had this range. Now that drawing was not the perfect. Okay, you got this range, which is the accumulation. The price came back down. It consolidated here. You went back up. You came back down to retest this range. You bounced off. But as you bounced off, you made a divergence. That was something I called out way back when everyone was super bullish. I was saying, guys, there is something wrong. Wait for the price to do the right thing before you enter back in. Now, we did exit back then and we did enter here. That's a different story. But you get to understand this. When the big guys are moving out, you get that. Great. Now, what's happening now? On a macro narrative, you still are waiting for the MACD to cross to the upside. You're watching that the moving average has been broken on the RSI. And usually when that happens, you're already done with the low. So you're not worrying here about putting in a new low. The low is here. So you are okay with that fact. But what if the price consolidates like this forever? That's something big you need to see. So now you zoom in. Slowly you go in to each and every asset which you're interested in. Maybe you're not interested in this asset, but you are still interested in some other asset. That's why in the group, in the Patreon, we go through everything you want. You tell me what you want, and I go through all of that asset and post it. So if you are looking for that, something like that, this link can help you a lot. Now, coming back onto the RNDR. Now, if you actually look at this on the basic sense, it shows you the idea of a rounded bottom or different variations of rounded bottom. You can either say this is a cup and handle which broke to the upside. Again, that's a different variation of a rounded bottom sequence. Great. What's your measured move? You take this and say, okay, 25% to the upside is the measured move I'm watching for. Great. That takes you somewhere around $2. Where is the price now? So for me, I would say, okay, there is short-term bearishness, but it doesn't change the medium-term stance. The medium term is bullish. Now, if you are not a pattern guy, you're a trend guy. Great, this is your trend line. You broke to the upside, you retested, you bounced. Great. So you are now following a new trend. Now, depending on who you are, you're either trading on a daily or trading on a weekly. You will have to look at the macro trend. If the macro trend is going to the upside, you don't want to trade against that trend. You always want to trade in the direction of the macro trend and try finding divergence. If the divergence is not there, it's good. It's good to go. If it's me, I would actually do that. Right now, if the RSI was going down when the price was going up, I would have exited that asset. That's a little bit risky to picking that top. Say, for example, here, you got that and look at the RSI. That's one of the primary reasons why when you drop like 40%. That's a big drop. It's not a small one. Because if you are levered in a trade, 1x, 2x, 3x, I see people posting 20x leverage, 50x leverage. I'm like, wow. I'm not the guy who does that because that's super risky. I'm not dealing with people who want a Lambo. I'm dealing with individuals who are looking after a better standard of living for their family. So that's a different story. The level of risk you take is different. Now, as we look at this, you really don't have that. The strength is showing you each time the price is going up, you do have enough strength of buyers increasing to support that, unlike what happened here. So if you go on a weekly, you get a little bit more clarity, or a 3-day chart, it gives you a better understanding. But you get my point. You don't go against what's established. Whether you're a pattern guy, whether you're a trend guy, whether you're a price action guy, you don't want to go against these established rules. Because say you're a price action guy, what are you watching? The price just made a reversal signal here, a 3-candle reversal or just an engulfing candle. The way you read price action, the way you read charts can vary. That's why I always say, start with price action, learn pattern, learn trend, learn indicator, master all of them. It takes time. And if you do need help on that, I'm here. I'm available. We are going through the one-on-one sessions, trying to give you the basics, and then look at different assets which you have in your portfolio. Right now, we are going through a lot of one-on-one sessions because a lot of people right now understand the fact that the market is turning, and it's turning for the good, and it may not last for a long time. That's one of the reasons I'm showing you this. Yeah, I think the market is going to run up in next 2 to 6 months. That's for sure. But I'm not sure whether it's going to $100 or to $500. That's the only conflicts which I have with that. But the time frame and the direction, it's superb. I completely agree with that. So guys, if you receive value for your time watching this video, smash that like button for me. That supports the channel a lot. I'll meet you guys on next video. Bye for now.